Spokane County Raceway, the Spokane 200. Dylan Kwasniewski, the pole sitter, again will restart this race, but Eric Holmes now up alongside him.
Going to be interesting to see if Eric Holmes can do anything on this restart. Looks to be the same type situation. Eric Holmes, though, is going to dive down in front of Pursley. Make sure he gets to the bottom.
That was a great move by Holmes to just claim second place. Kwasniewski out in front. There you see Pursley and the youngster Cameron Haley with a good battle. Jonathan Gomez in the 22. Luis Martinez in the 6 right behind him.
Haley is going to take that spot away from Greg Pursley. What a great move by the 15-year-old. Ooh, look at Gomez get sideways and slide up the racetrack up into Luis Martinez.
You know, this has not been the dominant Greg Pursley car that we have seen all year long. And again, I really think as we get closer to the halfway point, he's just going to hang in there in the top 5 until able to make some adjustments. As you see Michael Self now making a move.
Good year for Michael Self this year. He's had 3 top 5 finishes already with 3 races to go.
3 top 5s, but he said, you know, a win would really make a mark in this series as Haley continues to battle with Pursley.
Pursley wants that 3rd spot back. Essentially what he wants is that inside line on the restart. That's what he's battling for right now. If the caution flag were to come out, the guy running 3rd would be on the inside, and that's how Eric Holmes took advantage to get that 2nd spot away from Pursley.
Boy, Haley is just not giving any ground at all.
You notice that he's not leaning on Pursley. There was no contact there whatsoever.
How about the 15-year-old? He takes that position away from the guy who's going to win the championship this year.
Some great side-by-side racing here.
And again, they're coming up on the lap car of Jack Sellers in that 15. Up front, Dylan Kwasniewski. You know, Dylan's crew chief is Jeff Jefferson, who here in the Northwest really made a name for himself.
Oh, he sure did. He went multi-time Northwest Tour champion for NASCAR.
You know, that Jefferson family, a legend in this series. Their dad, George Jefferson, longtime crew chief in this series, is in the West Series Hall of Fame.
Younger brother Jason's also with the team, with Gene Price Motorsports.
If you're Dylan Kwasniewski, I think that has made a huge difference in his ability now to run up front all year.
I think without a doubt. And, you know, we had the same situation with Luis Martinez. Finally got to victory lane here in his 2nd season, and he has Bill Sedgwick calling the shots for him and tutoring him. So it's really, really difficult to do this without some good experience. Michael Self has Steve Portengate calling his shots.
Yeah, and Portengate and Sedgwick were also great drivers along with Jeff Jefferson. Some championships involved with those guys as drivers.
Pursley's wanting that 3rd spot back. He works his way to the bottom, gets underneath Haley, loses a little bit of ground up off of turn number 2.
Phil, you've been around this sport a long time. You know, I find it so amazing that a 15-year-old is able to drive this good against a veteran like Pursley.
I was talking to Eric Holmes about that the other day, and he said it's amazing that the talent Kwasniewski has, and Cameron Haley now, who was a teammate to Eric Holmes, he said it's really amazing. He said, I never even sat in a car till I was 15 years old and started running basically junkers when I was 16 years old. Couldn't even imagine that that these guys are as good as they are at their age.
Yeah, and in a lot of places you see 15-year-olds running legend cars still, and not even advanced up to late models.
So many more opportunities now for young drivers to learn how to race with legend cars, Bandolero cars, as you mentioned, all the types of racing you can do now that they didn't have when I was growing up.
Trying to get by the lap traffic, Kwasniewski and Eric Holmes. You want to try to take care of your equipment on a night like tonight as we're getting closer to that halfway point where the entire field will stop and take a 10-minute break.
Front 2 cars have moved away from the 3rd place battle just a little bit. They have about a half a straightaway right now over that 3rd place battle.
Amazing, most would say, that Holmes has not won a race this year. We're at lap 100, so that red flag will be coming out in just a moment.
Yeah, in the next lap or two.
Carl Haar is going to try to avoid getting lapped before that red flag comes out. He is just ahead of the leader, Dylan Kwasniewski.
Yeah, Carl had a great top 10 finish last time out at Montana.
Boy, and I think this is going to be a tough break. He's going to go a lap down as the caution is out. The halfway break is here at lap 102. It's halftime at the Spokane 200. We're back in just a moment. Well, we've seen the halftime break at tracks like Irwindale. And I'm going to be honest with you, Phil. I think this is a great format to run these 200 laps, take a halftime break, because it does give guys that aren't quite right at the beginning of the race a chance to adjust a little bit.
Yeah, and you don't have to have a high-priced pit crew to do these pit stops, too. That's one of the things I've loved about this series is the halftime break. You see Cameron Haley, his guys making some adjustments. They will be allowed to change 2 tires. They'll put right side tires on these cars and then make whatever kind of adjustments that you could normally make on a pit stop. They are able to raise the hood here so they can adjust the shocks and do things like that. But, you know, we talk about the young drivers, Dylan Kwasniewski and Cameron Haley, 15, 16 years old. It's one thing to go out, be able to go out here and wheel these things.
Right.
But what about being able to give the feedback to a Jerry Pitts or somebody like that to say, okay, this is what the car is doing now, and somebody like Jerry, who's Kwasniewski's crew chief, can make the adjustments. So being able to give the feedback is almost important a lot of times, is being able to wheel a thing.
And that's a part of the learning process for all these young drivers, to learn how to do that and exactly how to translate to a crew chief the feel on the racetrack and what you need to do to fix it.
Yeah, and these guys, the background is late models or super late models. Dylan Kwasniewski runs super late models at Irwindale. Cameron Haley ran in Montana, would run late models. These cars are a different beast, though. A lot of horsepower, a lot of weight. And that's what's the biggest difference and the biggest change is to get used to this horsepower and this weight.
You know, and I think the other thing for the young drivers, too, it's a chance to catch your breath a little bit. Normally, you don't throughout the race. You're just on it all night long. Here, you get a chance to think about what you want to do for the second half, take a little bit of a break. You see Greg Persley's crew, and I think they have some real adjustments to make on that car to give him a chance to win tonight.
Yeah, we saw the front 2 cars drive away from Cameron Haley and Greg Persley. Eric Holmes and Dylan Kwasniewski were able to do that. So you see some adjustments right there. There's looked like a track bar adjustment that time, or a wedge adjustment for Greg Persley.
And Phil, we're getting word up here in the booth that Cameron Haley, who's been running well all night, has a major problem.
Yeah, he was experiencing problems, we hear, just before the halftime break. Appears to be a broken control arm, so he will not restart this race now. He's still in the pits working on that car.
What a tough break for the 15-year-old who really had a chance to win. Restart, Holmes and Kwasniewski, and Eric Holmes gets a pretty good restart. He's got his nose out front. He's going for the lead here.
Now's the time to make those new right side tires work right on this restart. Let's see if he can do it down here in 3 and 4. He's got him off of 4.
Eric Holmes takes the lead for the first time here tonight. Kwasniewski, the pole sitter, running second. He had run first all night long.
Would you believe that our 3-time champion Eric Holmes has only led 22 laps all year long?
I would not believe it. I would not believe he hadn't won a race this year.
He's got the lead now, though.
And as you mentioned, he's been running so well lately. Ty Joyner, I know, made a difference here tonight.
Eric Holmes is really excited to have Ty back with him. Ty's been working with Bill McAnally Racing for the last little bit, though. He actually got the car ready that Cameron Haley ran at Montana. And now he's back with Eric.
And you saw Eric, the champion last year, not going to win the championship this season. It's a foregone conclusion that that's going to go to Greg Persley.
But there's still some race wins to get, and that, you know, Eric Holmes wants to get them. 5-time winner last year on his way to that 3rd championship.
In the second half now, we're going to see who made the right adjustments at the halftime break. Jonathan Gomez in the 22 car.
Trying to make this a dirt track, it looked like.
Yeah. But boy, is it great, as you said, to see him back, and he has run so well here tonight. Kwasniewski looks like he wants to make a little move for the lead again.
Looks like Greg Persley's improved his car. You see him now move into this battle. He's gained a few car lengths here in the last few laps.
Well, you saw they made major adjustments on that Persley car at the halftime break, and it seems to have paid off. Will we get another battle for the lead?
Got a great 3-way battle right here. Ooh, Persley gets a little bit loose up off of 4. Lost a little ground.
Still a long way to go in this race. Enough time for Persley to catch the 2 ahead of him. And these 3 cars have really been the dominant cars over the last couple of races.
Yeah, they sure have. We know that Gene Price Motorsports has been good all year long, but Eric Holmes has finally got his act together and that team's act together. Now he's showing it here.
Coming up again on some lap traffic. It's Cassie Gannis, who has had a spin tonight in the 07 car.
That's the 36 of John Wood. John's coming off a couple top 15s in a row coming into this race.
Might be tough for him to get that tonight. 22 cars in the field here at Spokane.
You talked at the very top of the show, Mike, about what this summer stretch has been like for these teams. They've done a lot of racing this summer.
Yeah, you know, you think of the stretch since Irwindale on the 4th of July. My goodness. In racing at Colorado and Montana, it's not been easy to keep a stretch going because there are not many full-time employees that work with these teams. So it really is a tough week, and it's a lot of late-night hours.
Yeah, it's really easy if the races are spread apart, but when they're on top of each other, and I can certainly understand you take the races when you can get them and when the promoters need to run those races for various reasons. So it really makes it tough on these race teams, though.
Next race is October 15th at Roseville. Just 2 races remain again after this one tonight in the 14 race West Series season. 70 laps to go now, and Eric Holmes comfortably out in front.
He's got a huge advantage here in traffic. Kwasniewski got hung in behind some lap cars, lost a lot of ground. You see Persley right with Kwasniewski.
Yeah, lap cars are going to come into play in this race. And Kwasniewski, you got to admit, he's a great young driver, but he's still learning some things. And one of the things you have to learn is how to use lap traffic and how to get around it.
Gosh, we hope at 16 years old he's still learning things.
Yeah, exactly. So much talent, and everybody's predicting that Kwasniewski is going to be in the big time in racing before it's all over with.
And that's one thing about this sport, our sport. Greg Persley's out there still learning things as well.
Yeah, Persley, who actually has been a driving instructor in his career at Irwindale. Very successful running some late models there.
He's done a lot of dominating this year in this series.
It has been amazing. And there, Cassie Gannis has spun once again. Looks like there's some damage to that car, and caution is out for the 7th time here tonight.
That'll give Eric Holmes take away his huge advantage he had opened up.
And again, though, still a long way to go in this race as Cassie Gannis, the spin, brought out another caution. Eric Holmes will restart on the inside when we come back.